You ever notice how one tiny, innocent moment can suddenly drag you back into your childhood like you just got teleported by emotional time travel? You're living your adult life, paying bills, scrolling memes, pretending salad is dinner, and then someone uses a certain tone or forgets to text back, and your brain goes, "Ah yes, let's revisit that traumatic moment from 2007 for no reason whatsoever." It's like your mind has a secret playlist of childhood pain that it loves to shuffle at the worst possible times. No warning, no context, just boom, you're 8 years old again, wearing cartoon socks and wondering why everyone seems mad at you. Today we're unpacking those emotional jump scares, the hidden scars of your lost childhood. Tell me if this feels a little too familiar. You're going about your day like a normal, functioning adult, hydrating, replying to messages, trying not to look suspicious while walking past security guards, and then something tiny happens. Someone forgets to say thank you, or your friend sounds a little different on the phone, or your coworker sends a short reply like, okay. And suddenly your entire nervous system is like, we're in danger. Not logical danger. Not, a bear is chasing me danger. But that specific emotional sting that feels old. Like it's been sitting in your chest since childhood, collecting dust and resentment. Maybe you struggle to say no, even when saying yes turns your life into a side quest you never signed up for. Maybe you overthink messages until you've created 16 imaginary arguments and a full Bollywood-style heartbreak montage in your head. Maybe you can't stand disappointing people, even people you don't actually like. Or maybe you always feel like you have to be the strong one, the responsible one, the one who keeps it all together, because somewhere in your childhood, you learned that if you didn't stay in control, things would fall apart. And the worst part? You don't walk around thinking about this stuff. It creeps in quietly, like an app running in the background, draining your emotional battery without your permission. Deep down, you know something about your reactions doesn't match the situation. You know you're not supposed to feel this shaken by small things. You know you're capable, smart, and grown, but sometimes your emotions feel like they belong to a much younger version of you. Now let's talk about the number one mistake almost everyone makes when dealing with these sneaky childhood scars. We try to fix emotional damage using pure logic, like we're updating software on a laptop. You feel insecure? Well, obviously, I should simply stop being insecure. Duh. You feel guilty saying no? Easy. I will just say no confidently and walk away like a mysterious movie character. You feel abandoned because someone didn't reply? No problem. I'll just think rationally and not care. Totally doable. It's adorable, honestly. Like watching someone try to fix a broken shirt button with a hammer. We keep treating emotional wounds like they're technical errors. Meanwhile, your brain is over here like, "Sir, I am running on childhood code from 2006. Please calm down." Then comes the productivity trap, where people think they can hustle their trauma away. Oh, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., journal, gym, meditate, and boom, no more abandonment issues. Right. Because nothing says healed inner child like a protein shake and a color-coded to-do list. But wait, there's more. Some people take the avoidance path. Nothing is wrong with me. Everything is fine. I'm perfectly normal. Why do you ask? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop looking. This is the emotional equivalent of stuffing your closet so full of junk that the door barely closes, and then acting shocked when a shoe falls on your head the next morning. Others think the solution is becoming emotionally invincible. You should be unbothered. Nothing should affect you. Bro, even Wi-Fi signals get affected by walls. Calm down. The truth? These mistakes don't work because they don't address the real issue. You're not dealing with an adult problem. You're dealing with a childhood reaction wearing adult clothes. You can't talk your way out of a wound you didn't talk your way into. You felt your way into it. You learned it through experience, repetition, and tiny moments that shaped who you became. Which means the solution isn't try harder or be stronger. It's understanding the emotional map you were given and realizing half the roads on it were drawn by a child who was just trying to survive. That's why most people stay stuck. They're trying to solve an old emotional puzzle using the wrong pieces. But once you know the real picture, everything starts making sense. Here's the real secret most people never realize. When you're trying to fix your childhood wounds, you're not actually trying to fix the past. You're trying to stop the past from controlling your future. We don't want to be less sensitive, less emotional, or less reactive just to look strong. We want to feel free. Free to make choices without guilt sneaking in like an unwanted pop-up ad. Free to speak our mind without expecting punishment. Free to enjoy good things without waiting for something to go wrong. Underneath every self-improvement goal, confidence, discipline, boundaries, emotional stability, there's one quiet desire. You want to feel safe inside your own life. You want the kind of confidence that doesn't collapse when someone frowns. You want independence that isn't fueled by fear. You want respect that doesn't come from pleasing everyone. You want peace that doesn't get shaken by old memories. And more than anything, you want to finally feel like you're living as you, not as the kid who learned to survive in ways that no longer serve you. That's the real goal behind all of this. Emotional freedom, self-trust, a life that isn't held hostage by childhood echoes. Here's the insight that makes everything suddenly click into place. Your childhood didn't disappear when you grew up. It didn't evaporate on your 18th birthday like some weird emotional fairy tale. It simply went underground, like a secret version of you quietly living in the basement of your brain, eating leftover feelings and waiting for a chance to push random buttons during your adult life. And it's surprisingly good at pushing those buttons. You're in the middle of a work presentation. Your inner child whispers, "Remember when the class laughed at you for mispronouncing a word? Let's replay that." You get a short text message from someone you care about. Your inner child jumps in like, "They hate you now? We're alone forever." Panic time. You achieve something big. Inner child, "This is suspicious. Good things are traps." It sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly how emotional memory works. The brain doesn't store childhood experiences as stories. It stores them as patterns, clusters of emotional responses linked to situations that felt unsafe, embarrassing, confusing, or painful. So if something at age 7 hurt you, your brain marked it with a neon sticky note labeled, "Never again." And now, any situation that vaguely resembles that moment, someone raising their voice, someone ignoring you, someone correcting you, activates the same emotional alarm system. Your adult self might be perfectly fine, but your inner child is sprinting around like. This is exactly like 2009. Take cover. Why this feels so real? Because your brain can't differentiate between emotional memory and real-time threat. It doesn't check the timestamp. It just says, "Emotion detected. Deploy defense mechanism." And suddenly your mature adult body is running on the emotional software of a child who was just trying to survive. This is why people pleasers are often former good kids. Why overthinkers were often scolded for speaking up. Why emotionally independent adults were often kids who couldn't rely on anyone. Why perfectionists were once children who felt love was conditional. It all makes perfect sense when you zoom out. Your adult behavior isn't random. It's patterned. It's learned. It's recycled emotional strategy. Let's break this down with examples. Childhood lesson number 1. I must be perfect to be loved. Maybe praise only came when you got top marks, or behaved perfectly, or didn't cause trouble. Your brain learned. Love is earned. Now as an adult, you overwork. You fear failure like it's a personal betrayal. You can't enjoy your success because you're too busy preparing for the next task. You treat rest like a guilty pleasure. Childhood lesson number 2. My feelings don't matter. Maybe adults dismissed your emotions with, "Stop crying. You're exaggerating. Don't be sensitive. Grow up." Your brain learned. Emotions equals inconvenience. Now you struggle to express how you feel, even in close relationships. You minimize your needs. You force yourself to move on before you're ready. You give others comfort, but rarely receive it. Childhood lesson number 3. I must stay small to stay safe. If you grew up around unpredictable adults, emotionally intense, angry, moody, you learn to stay quiet, stay small, stay invisible. Now you avoid conflict like it's a venomous snake. You shrink in social situations. You panic if someone sounds irritated. You tiptoe through life like you're walking on emotional eggshells. The truth most people miss. These patterns aren't flaws. They're adaptations, survival strategies created by a child who wanted safety, love, connection, or freedom. You didn't choose them. You learned them. And here's the twist. What helped you survive childhood is now holding you back in adulthood. Because adult life requires things childhood didn't allow you to develop. Boundaries, self-expression, confidence, saying no, trusting your intuition, taking up space, making mistakes without fear. These are adult skills, But childhood fears keep interrupting like outdated software trying to run on a new device. And this leads to the main principle. Your hidden childhood scars show up most clearly in your adult patterns, not in dramatic moments, but in everyday reactions. The hesitation before speaking, the apology in your voice, the fear of disappointing someone, the tension when someone raises their voice, the way you downplay your needs, the discomfort when someone gives you attention. These aren't personality traits. They're echoes. Your inner child is still trying to protect you. But here's the beautiful part. You're the adult now. You have tools your younger self didn't. You have awareness, strength, autonomy, and perspective. You don't need those old defenses anymore. And your inner child doesn't need to carry the entire emotional load. Understanding this isn't just insight. It's liberation. Once you see the pattern, you can finally choose a new one. You're sitting with a close friend at a cafe. The conversation is light. Work updates, weekend plans, random memes. Everything is easy. Until your friend suddenly says, "By the way, I wanted to talk to you about something. Yesterday, you sounded a bit off." Just one harmless sentence. But it hits you like a sudden drop on a roller coaster. Inside, your chest tightens. Your brain starts buzzing. Your stomach sinks. You begin scanning every memory from yesterday, searching for the moment you might have messed up. You smile on the outside, but internally you're spiraling. Your friend keeps talking, but you're no longer listening. You're too busy rehearsing an apology for something you're not even sure you did. Why? Because your inner child has taken over the driver's seat. Suddenly, you're 10 again, being told by a parent or teacher, "We need to talk." And you know what usually followed? A correction, a lecture, a disappointed look, a reminder that you weren't good enough that day. So your brain learned early. If someone wants to talk about your behavior, it means you did something wrong. Back in the cafe, your adult self might logically know your friend isn't angry. They just noticed a change in your tone. Something normal, something human. But your nervous system reacts like you're about to face judgment. You over-explain. You apologize 3 times. You say, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to sound weird," even though nothing was wrong. Your friend looks confused because, to them, this is a simple conversation. But to you, it feels like emotional danger, even though the danger is long gone. That's the power of childhood patterns. Your friend's gentle observation wasn't triggering. Your childhood interpretation of it was. And when you go home later, you'll replay the whole conversation again and again, stressing about whether you said too much or too little. Not because you're dramatic, not because you're insecure, but because a younger version of you once learned that the tiniest mistake could lead to conflict, rejection, or disappointment. And now that lesson shows up in the most ordinary adult moments, like sipping coffee with someone who cares about you. All right, let's bring this down from emotional theory land into real life. Here's how you actually start breaking childhood patterns without needing a therapist, a crystal, or a fainting couch. Pause before reacting. Sounds tiny. It's not. That 2-second pause is like installing a firewall between you and your inner child. When you feel that familiar panic, guilt, or, "Oh no, I ruined everything" wave, don't respond yet. Just pause long enough to ask the magic question. Is this me or old me? Label the pattern. Your brain loves labels. Once you name the pattern, this is the "I think everyone's mad at me" thing again, your brain stops treating it as danger. It becomes a glitch, not a threat. Bonus, naming it reduces the emotional intensity by about 40%. Yes, that's a made-up number, but trust me, it helps. Talk to yourself like a functional adult. This is the part where you parent yourself gently, not like those adults who used to say, "Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about." Try something like, "Relax, nobody is attacking you. You're safe. This is just a conversation, not a performance review." Do the opposite of your childhood default. If your childhood default was people-pleasing, try saying what you actually think. If it was shutting down, try asking questions. If it was apologizing for breathing, try not apologizing for breathing. Just one tiny opposite action creates a new neural pathway. Celebrate tiny wins. Your brain is basically a puppy. Reward it. If you handled a trigger 3% better than usual, amazing. That's growth. Because healing isn't one big moment. It's 100 small, slightly awkward victories sprinkled throughout your week. Do these 5 steps consistently, and your inner child will stop hijacking your adulthood like a tiny emotional pirate. Here's a trick that sounds a little weird at first, but once you try it, you'll realize it's basically a cheat code for emotional rewiring. I call it the chair swap technique. Whenever you feel triggered, maybe someone's tone felt sharp, or you suddenly start overthinking, imagine two chairs in front of you. You, the adult. You, the child who learned the old survival pattern. Now mentally swap chairs. Sit in chair 2 first. Feel the panic, the guilt, the "oh no, not again" tension. Acknowledge it. This is the version of you that learned to walk on emotional eggshells. Then stand up, mentally, and sit in chair 1. This is the adult you. The one with a phone, a job, bills, responsibilities, and the ability to walk away from any situation. This version of you is safe, capable, and in control. From chair 1, you say to chair 2, in your head, "Don't worry, no one can hear you. Hey, I know you're scared, but I've got this. You don't need to protect me anymore." This simple visualization forces your brain to separate past reactions from present reality. It rewires your instinct from panic to observe, which is exactly what emotional freedom feels like. Try it once, and you'll see your triggers suddenly lose half their power. Try it consistently, and your inner child will stop driving and finally enjoy being a passenger. So here's the truth. Your childhood didn't ruin you. It just trained you for a world you're no longer living in. And every time you pause, label a pattern, choose a different response, or do that little chair swap trick, you're proving something powerful. You're not stuck. You're evolving. Those old reactions? They're not flaws. They're outdated software. And you're finally installing the updates your younger self never had access to. If anything in this video made you think, "Wow, that's literally me," then congratulations, you've already taken the first step. Awareness is the doorway, and you just walk through it. And hey, if you want more videos that unpack your brain, decode your habits, and make your childhood trauma feel slightly funnier than it should be, you know what to do. Hit subscribe if you want, or just stick around and watch another one. I'm not your boss. Either way, I'm glad you're here, and I'm rooting for your healed, confident, emotionally upgraded future self. We'll grow together.